It's a miserable day outside, so I thought I would take this opportunity to do some videos about the different ways I can heat the inside of my travel trailer. Uh, what you're looking at right now is the Coleman portable catalytic heater. It operates off of 1-pound propane bottles that you can find anywhere. It's equipped with a fan in it, and it works pretty good. What I'm going to do is just to kind of give you a sense of the performance of it, I'm going to light it up, and right now it's 63 degrees in here. I actually have the probe located in the middle of the camper, so we're not getting the heat right off of the heater itself. And then in a little bit I'll come back and we'll see how it's going. This is actually pretty simple to turn on. You just turn it to the on position and hit the igniter button. I'm going to face it away from my couch so I'm not igniting my couch. And it's on. It's pretty much a one-step operation. You just, it's either on or off. And it's pretty simple, safe to use inside, as long as you're using the propane bottle. And we'll come back in about an hour and we'll see how what the difference is inside here. Alright, it's been an hour since I turned this heater on. You can see it's got a nice rosy glow. That's normal for this unit. It feels quite a bit warmer in here. The unit puts out radiant heat, and you can really feel it on your skin, but when you look at the temperature, it's 66, so it only went up I think 3 degrees in the last hour. Now what I'm going to do is shut it down and bring my next heater in. I actually weighed the bottle of propane before I put it in the heater, and it weighed 1 pound 14.3 ounces at the start, and now it weighs 1 pound 11.8 ounces. So it used about 3 ounces in 1 hour's time out of a 1 pound bottle. The Coleman heater was a 3000 BTU unit, and it just had the one on off with your choice of temperature settings. This is the Mr. Heater Big Buddy. It holds 2 propane 1 pound propane bottles, or you can hook it up to an external source with a quick disconnect, and there's some accessories that make that a lot easier. This unit has 2 burners on it, which allows you to change to get to the different temperature settings. The low is just one of the burner plates, and then the medium is the same burner plate but more fuel going to it, and then the high is both catalytic plates are lit up. The unit is 4,000, 9,000, and 18,000 BTUs at those 3 settings. So even at the low setting, this heater is 33% more, generating 33% more heat, so we should see a much larger performance difference. I opened the door to air out the camper a little bit. I don't really care for the smell you get with propane heating, and I also wanted to get the temperature back down to 63 so we would be kind of starting from a level playing field. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it on. I already got the pilot light lit. This actually turns on a little bit easier than that other unit does. And I'm just going to set it to low and run it like that. I've used this heater to heat a house up with, and I'm going to tell you right away, this thing, it gets really hot. So the camper area that I'm in right now is about 15 by 8. I got the front and back sections closed off, so I'm just heating the center part, and this thing will just cook me right out of here. I guess what I'm going to do, I'll turn it on high just so you can see what happens. That's medium right there, so the one side gets quite a bit hotter, and now both sides are lit. Alright, I'm going to set her back down to low, and we'll come back in an hour and see where we're at. Alright, there's just a couple minutes left before the hour's up, and it is hot in here. One big difference between the Coleman and the Mr. Heater is the Coleman is quite a bit noisier while it burns. I don't know if that was audible during the video, but the Mr. Heater is really silent. It makes a little bit more noise if you go to the full burn on it, but I mean it's actually silent at the moment. In about 10 minutes it had ratcheted right up to 72 degrees. Then for some reason it kind of leveled off. It's 73 degrees in here right now, and it feels really hot. One of the byproducts of heating with propane is your windows will fog up, because water is the byproduct of the combustion process when you use propane. So that's a bit of a bummer. And it feels real wet. It feels very humid in here. I did a little research while I was filming that, and the Mr. Buddy heater is supposed to, or I'm sorry, the Mr. Heater Big Buddy is supposed to work with on one cylinder 1.5 to 6 hours, with two cylinders 3 to 12 hours, and then if you got two propane cylinders it's 50 to 220 hours. And ideally what I'd like to do is get this hooked up to my main system, and then I wouldn't have to change the cylinders out in it, because you can't have the 20-pound cylinder inside the living area if you're going to use it that way. Alright, after 1 hour of burn, we're at 1.81 ounces, so we went through pretty much 5 ounces of propane in the last hour. And if you look at the bottle, it's really frosty, but that's what happens. They always look like that when you use them. One thing I may have done to skew the results a little bit is that the Mr. Buddy holds, or Mr. Heater holds, 2 propane bottles, and I know the bottle on the other side was empty, and I suspect that a portion of the propane from this bottle cross-connected into that bottle and was probably filling it up at the same time it was burning. So this is probably not an accurate result, but I'm also not that interested in repeating the process just to get a real result. I would probably go along the lines with, it's pretty close to what Mr. Buddy or Mr. Heater is suggesting the burn times are. Maybe not quite as good as that. Let's see, 5 ounces. Yeah, you're not going to get anywhere near, because I did the math. It was actually 2.5 ounces that the Coleman used, and that was going to give you about a 6-hour burn time. So this is really going to be about 3 hours on one bottle. But once again, that might not be 100% accurate, because it could have been filling the other bottle. This is another way of manufacturing some heat in your recreational vehicle. I would use this only as kind of a last ditch method. It's I'm not even sure it's safe, because you're running your stovetop, you got an open flame, and that's going to consume air, and you're going to have more CO2 being emitted. But it's worth mentioning because you see it out there a lot, and I just wanted to go over it as a possibility, and it's actually not a really good one. What I have here is just the large pot with a bolt coming up through the center and a washer on it, and then I just put the smaller pot on the inside with another washer. And basically what that's going to do is just create more mass to hold and re-radiate heat. Basically what's going to happen is I'm going to put this on top of the stove and turn the flame on the stove, and it's just going to convert it from the it's going to create more warming heat, because it's going to take the flame and turn it into a radiant heat energy, and that's what's going to heat up the space. I've conducted this experiment 2 different ways. One is I've put candles in here, and I've ran out of candles. But basically you can put those little emergency tea light candles down there. I can fit 4 or 5 underneath there, and if you do that many, it will make it a little warm, but not hard. It won't really heat up the space at all. You'll just feel a little bit of heat coming off of the pot if you get real close to it. And then basically you just put the candles under there and then put the pot on top, and that's going to heat up. The bad news is those tea candles only last about an hour, so it's not really super economical or efficient, because you've always got to replace those candles. And then the way I'm going to demonstrate for the experiment is I have my burner, and I just put the pot on top and light the burner and run that. Alright, what I've done is I just got the burner lit. It's at its lowest possible setting. I have the fan right behind there. Once the pot heats up, I turn this battery powered fan on, and it helps disperse the heat a little more evenly. So I'm just going to go ahead and put the pot on and let her run for an hour. The temperature in here is 66 degrees. I didn't go all the way down to 63 because I just know that this is not going to do near as well as those other two devices, and I don't want to freeze. So we'll check back in a little bit. Just for a little bit of fun, I decided to go ahead and put the temperature probe on top of the pot just to get an idea of what kind of temperatures it's producing. And you can see it's 207 degrees, and that's the heat coming off the ceramic. You don't actually really feel it that much. You get your hand close and you can start to feel it a little bit, but that's at the lowest setting. I've actually had this on and had the burner turned up a little bit more, and it can get pretty toasty, but I don't think that it's terribly efficient to do that. So anyhow, I'm going to let this go for the rest of the hour, and we'll see where we're at temperature wise inside. Okay, it's up to 212. Oh, back down to 210. So that pot's still warming up. Okay, so it's been an hour, and it's actually warmed up a little bit in here, even at the lowest setting. I got my probe in the same spot it was for the other two, and let's see if you can see that or not. It's 72 degrees in here, and I think it was 66 when we started out, so it's actually a little bit better than I thought it was going to be. But I gotta say, I don't think this is really something that you want to do. Plus, I think if you read your stove instructions, they tell you specifically not to do this. But if you were cold and you needed some heat, and you had 2 flower pots and a bolt, you'd be ready to go. This camper came equipped with the AC package and a heater, and they work really good. The heater's kind of noisy because the fan is just crazy loud. The other thing is it requires electricity to operate, so if you don't have a decent battery bank and you're running the furnace a lot, it's going to eat your battery down pretty quick, and it also uses a lot of propane. If I'm plugged in somewhere, my preferred method of heating would be the electric heater. Big advantage is you don't have to monitor it. You don't have to worry about carbon monoxide or running out of fuel. If you're plugged into shore power, you're good to go. Of course, if you're out boondocking or dry camping somewhere, this is not a real good option, because you'd have to either run a generator, noisy, or have just an enormous amount of batteries to operate something like this through the night, because this does like electricity, and it will really go through a set of batteries in no time. But if you're plugged in, if you're able to plug in somewhere, this is really the best, because you can set the temperature and it's just like heating your house. Okay, just to do a little summary, I think the thing that I'd like the best about any of these heaters